Hi, I'm Craig. That's my brother, Brad. Welcome to Weekdays with Craig and Brad. Intro.
Life is hard, but you can't give up. Let's have a conversation. Weekdays, we're gonna make it today. Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Episode 66, Brad. We made it.
We made it. We're almost there to episode 67, which was the big one. But this show here, I'm really excited for. This is going to be a solid effort on our part.
Quality roundabout all the way around from beginning to end. It's good. You know, I got to be honest. If people are just popping in, they're watching over on YouTube or they're watching over on Twitch, which, by the way, Monday, tomorrow, we are live streaming on both Twitch and on YouTube. We've been said March 1st. March 1st, we're live on YouTube and on Twitch. So make sure you guys get ready to go. Have those notifications turned on, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube. I'll tell you this: if you watch our show and you're in a bad mood, and then you're like, "Hey, I just want to watch little Weekdays with Craig and Brad," and you pop it on and you don't smile during that intro sequence, that intro song, you're racist.
That's right.
That's right. Congratulations. There you go.
That's fantastic, Craig.
Armor Armadillo in the chat. First one in. Let's go with that Armor Armadillo. Thank you very much. He said, we made it. We made it. We did.
We made it. Welcome. Come on into the show, everybody. Yeah. As Craig and I like to point out, we read all the comments in the chats and on YouTube. And it's great to read that stuff, all the good stuff. Handful of negative Nancy sometimes.
Whatever.
But it's been a lot of fun. And so good stuff.
Yeah,
come on in.
I'm ready to rock today, baby. Listen, we had a slobber knocker of a topic that happened over the weekend, and so much to talk about today. My God, it's getting. Listen, if you want to hear people complain about things and talk about make conversation about observations, and I'm talking about some stupid conversation based off some ridiculous observation, you are in the right place.
I'm still thinking about your use of slobber knocker just a few seconds ago. I've never heard that in my life.
You never heard slobber knocker before?
No.
Oh, that's
we had a slobber knocker of a show.
Really?
That sounds like something you'd make up whenever you needed to cut somebody down.
No.
You're a slobber knocker.
Listen, as you watch the WWF in the late 90s and you listen to good old JR on the commentary, Jim Ross goes, "Oh, we got a slobber knocker." That's
okay. Yeah, that's why I'm out of the loop on it, because I didn't watch the wrestling.
Yeah,
you did.
Exactly.
Well, I like it. I want to have it on a shirt now.
Slobber knocker, just a single word. I gotta. Yeah. I'm sure he has. I'm sure JR has copyrighted that word. I'm sure he has, because it's kind of his term, you know.
Yeah. The real go-to says that they've heard of clobber jockey. Is that one?
Interesting. I don't know about that. Can you say that these days?
I don't know. I hope I just didn't pull a racist or something.
You pull a racist.
I don't know. I don't know what I can say anymore. Here's what I realized after reading all of our YouTube things. And when people get really upset and people are going, "Oh, you guys, you don't take a side. Just admit you're this and just admit you're that." I'm like, why do we have to? Like maybe it's a little more telling on your end that you have to define. You don't know what to think. I was thinking about that. You don't know what to believe until you know what side you're on, right?
Yeah.
You got to know, well, what side is that on? I can't say yes or no until you tell me what side it's on. Like, how about you just listen to the show, enjoy it, and come to your own decision at the end of it without going like, "Well, I don't know. I think they were on this side or that side." I'll tell you what. I'm on the right side of the screen, and Craig's on the left side of the screen.
How about you meet us right here in the middle?
That's right.
What?
Get over it. All right. Let's do a show.
You know whose side I'm on? Crazy Eagle, who gifted out 10 subs.
Nice.
10 subs. That's 10 amazing subs. Crazy Eagle, thank you so much. That's insane. I'll tell you what. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what else is crazy?
What?
The YouTube comment of the day. 10 gifted subs. That's crazy. All right, I'll tell you what. This one comes from Harper Larp. As we were talking about Mr. Potato Head, a vegetable toy who is now gender neutral. Says the rebranding is probably just to get free press. People are talking about it, aren't they? Seems to be working. I don't know why anyone would want to get upset over this. Harper Lap, I agree with that. I think that was actually pretty brilliant marketing because they got everyone talking about it, and then at the end of the day, they said, oh no. By the way, they're not going anywhere. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head are still here. It's just Potato Head. But Brad, you have a follow-up to this.
Yeah, I was at Walmart today and I saw a Mrs. Potato Head and it grabbed my attention. So I took a picture of it because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I've got another what are we doing? That this will be a preemptive what are we doing to our other what are we doing? But so I saw this. Pull it up here. This is a Mrs. Potato Head I saw, and I was like, okay, Mrs. Potato. And then I looked closer and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what are her accessories here?
That's right.
And so I was like, are those lobster claws, crab claws or something? And then I flipped the back over and I was like, why are we talking about gender, first of all, for a potato, but second of all, for a potato that's also a crab? Like, look at these creations. Why are we even having this conversation? Look at these ridiculous. Like, do you think that any child is playing with this saying, well, it's a female lobster potato or it's a female crab potato? At this point, isn't it? It really is just a genderless potato lobster.
It's amazing.
Lobster crab. This is what you get in this box if you want to head on over to your local Walmart and pick it up. But I'll tell you what, I was thinking about these companies and it looks like something from Sid's house. Yeah. I was thinking about these companies that are doing all this stuff, trying to make these like woke statements and be a part of these communities and stuff. And that's all well and good. That's fine. But at the end of the day, marketing ploy. The problem behind that is that I would be offended if I was part of certain communities that these companies were getting behind because it's about their dollar, right? At the end of the day, it's not a sincere step forward, right? Oh, sure. Like when we were talking about the Oreo comment, their tweet last week, what was it? It was like trans people exist.
Trans people are real.
Trans people are real. I think it said trans people exist. I might have misquoted on the last.
Whatever
it was, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the decision to put that tweet out there was based on, can we sell more cookies?
Right.
It was not based on, let's put our best foot forward for this community. It was, when we put this out there, are we going to sell more cookies? Right. When the Potato Heads make this PR effort, they're not thinking, well, we've got to make a compatible potato head package for modern families, which is in their new video, like the new potato heads for the they're thinking, can we sell more potato heads? Right. And that's the bottom dollar. There's an insincere move behind it that I think that people need to recognize. And I'm not falling for it anymore. I've decided if you're going to do that, you got to have something to back it up. If you're going to be Oreo and say that, I want to see some action, right? I want to see how much of their sales based on their cookies they're going to give back to the community. Otherwise, I'm boycotting Oreo until they do that, because otherwise it's just a tweet floating off in Twitter, and that didn't serve the community. It served Oreo more than the community. So
outstanding stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Take a look back at this potato head picture. Can we appreciate these? This is their selling.
I like the idea that she has a crab arm on her head.
This was
on its head. What? I guess it's a girl potato because she has some sort of dress on or stockings or something. So
I want to know what the outtakes were of this photo shoot. Or you're like, no, not those. Those are awful. Use these. These are the 3 best ones we got. So
it's awesome. You got 4 eyes and stuff. That's good. It's funny. Soda Awesome says the younger generation is the ones who have to buy potato heads in the next decades, not the older people who aren't thrilled about the change. I think it's a smart rebrand, yet kind of silly. Soda Awesome. I think there's obviously truth to the fact that the younger generation now will buy them in the future. But I think right now, you know, 4, 5, 6-year-old kids aren't the ones buying potato heads right now. You know, they're the ones saying, "I like a potato head," and the ones who are spending the money are the ones who are upset about it now. In a decade from now, you're right. You know, 20 years from now, yeah, you're right. But who knows, right?
I'll tell you one thing. That was the last potato head on the aisle. I didn't see any other options for potato heads. So that either means that potato heads are selling like hotcakes right now, or nobody wants Mrs. Crab potato head.
The real go-to has a great point. It says that's forward-thinking openness. They accept potato people with crab arms. That's right.
That's right. Soon we'll all get there, and we'll all have to just know that there are people out there that need this toy in their life.
Yeah. Tai asked a really good question. Did companies profit off the civil rights movement in the 1960s? I mean, I'm sure somebody did, but at the same time, you know, like I don't think, you know, many companies were going out of their way to, you know, show a whole lot of support.
Well, I think the difference is like nowadays, like the effort is so just like a tweet, you know, whereas back then a company, we didn't have the internet in the 60s. If a company decided to get behind a movement and civil rights, they had to spend a lot of money campaigning and doing physical, you know, banners and advertisements, and like even if the bottom dollar might have been more money at the end of the day, at least the presentation was a solid effort, if that makes sense. You know, the sincerity, I can't gauge the sincerity, but I could tell you that, you know, having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a campaign for the civil rights movement is a lot different than a tweet by Oreo.
Sure. Yeah, Real Go-To says, "Is tweeting not enough anymore?" Hey, can we give it up for Crazy Eagle, who's come in with 2 more gifted subs? Crazy Eagle, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. And Matthew, thank you very much for resubbing tier 1 for 6 total months. That's outstanding. This is nuts. You know, Soda Awesome says this, and I got this is kind of a, you know, Soda Awesome says, to be fair, Mr. and Mrs. Potato was probably everyone's first exposure to gender swapping. And I got to be honest, I don't think anybody ever thought of it as gender swapping. As a matter of fact, I think gender swapping in that sentence is the first time I've ever heard the term gender swapping. So I can't think I've ever really thought of it that way.
I mean, toys like this have been around for a really long time. Paper dolls before. I was reading an article about Potato Head and the Potato Head brand, and how prior to Mr. Potato Head taking off, the original Mr. Potato Head, toys like that were mainly like paper dolls, where you'd put the golden brads in the arm, you cut out the arms and the legs, and then you'd stick them in there. And these toys have been around forever. I mean, they're really popular right now, buying like, you know, arms that you can put on another character and legs. And you could take, you know, a Star Wars toy nowadays, and you can take Rey's head and you could put it on Luke Skywalker's body. But I don't think that I don't think that the child is going too deep into it. They're just having fun and playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially when it's not even a person, you know, it's just a vegetable.
Yeah. You know, speaking of vegetables, I would like to remind you guys, for episode 69, our next t-shirt will be available for Mr. Zucchini Dude.
Yes, I'm working on that.
A Mr. Zucchini Dude t-shirt will be available for episode 69 because he looks like a penis, as the zucchini does. And it's
Am I supposed to make it look like that?
No, don't make it look like a dick.
Okay. I don't want us selling a shirt that is going to get somebody in trouble when they go to Walmart.
No. It's Mr. Zucchini Dude. It's a playoff Mr. Potato Head, except he's super strong and super beefy, like Trogdor.
Yeah.
The Decimator. Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you guys look up for that. That'll be coming up on episode 69, because we're on 66. You do the math. Hey, guess what, Brad? It's time to figure out something. It's the finish up of our game.
What the heck is that?
Sweet.
Did I get you off guard there?
Yeah, I thought we were doing something else. Let me pull it up.
We'll get to that in just a second.
Okay. Yeah, last Friday, we started a new What the Heck Is That If you haven't seen this game before, it's where we share a blurry image with you, and it's your job to guess what the heck is that. And so this was our most recent effort here. If you want to take a moment to, look at it and maybe make a guess.
We had several guesses. I'd like to just point these out really quick. Here they are. You can see what the heck this Silver Axe thinks it's a pheasant, pheasant of some sort, which is great. Someone doing a skydive from Noak right there, which is good. There's so many different guesses in here. It's crazy. A lot of algorithms going on, which we'll sing the song here a little bit later. But
young people today, let me ask you this.
Alpha Reels by the way, Alpha Reels, we're going to be talking about you in just a second. Says the Tootsie Pop kid holding a mallard like a football. Brad, I need to know, is this the Tootsie Pop kid holding a mallard like a football?
That's probably one of the closest guesses. Are you ready for the reveal?
I am, yes.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. What the heck is that? It's a...
No. It's a chickaroo?
There were some guesses for rooster, and so those were partially correct.
Oh.
We've got some kangaroo in there with a chick popping out of its back and rooster front and tail.
Part rooster with part kangaroo.
Yeah, it's a rooster-roo.
Oh, congratulations, Lee Michael B. Way to go. I'm thoroughly confused right now.
It's a lot of things.
Well, now we know.
What the heck is that?
All right. Nice. Congratulations. Way to go.
Okay. Yeah. So that's how we play the game. You never know what it's going to be. Last time it was 4 different pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger eating ice cream. So
Important stuff.
Yeah.
We also have more to talk about here before you get into the big story of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
So what is this, Brad?
We have a new segment we'd like to do on the show that is not what the heck is that. It's what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? And we don't have a bumper for this one yet because I kind of just like us saying, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, there we go.
Is that good? Is that good?
That was pretty good.
Okay.
I should, yeah. Okay, so this is the part of the show where sometimes I'll wake up and it's usually the first thing that I see in the morning. And every time it inspires, what are we doing? And so this is the segment today. I saw this. I want to share it with you. This is a disposable face mask candy coin machine thing. And I thought, is this what kids get now when they ask their parents for a quarter?
Right.
I was just like, what?
Mommy, I want to collect them all.
Yeah. Bonus cloth printed masks.
Nice.
Like how many of them are just the standard? That's literally a $2.95 box of masks just shoved. Like the profit margin on that is insane. But they stuck them all in these eggs. I imagine like the kid trying to he's like, ooh, bonus cloth printed mask, and like he puts his 2 quarters in there at the bottom. Oh, it's 75 cents. It says 75 cents, and he cranks it. And it comes out and he opens it and he's like, oh, it wasn't a cloth printed one. It's just another standard blue one. I've already got that one. And then his buddy at school is like, oh, I haven't gotten a blue one yet. I keep getting the cloth printed one. So they trade him at school or something. But I was, when we were kids, it was like those flingy arms that were gooey that you'd slap them against the window.
Sure.
So, it's like right next to some sticker tattoos that would be much more desirable to any sane person. But here, in case you need it, in case, you just can't find a mask these days because they're so hard to come by. There you go. 75 cents at the little prize quarter
75
prices.
cents?
75 cents for that.
God.
If you have $1.50, you can literally go buy a box, I think. But
all right. Well, hey, Smartlight says I saw a guy walking in town and in and out of stores wearing a plastic visor, no mask, and got no grief despite the plastic visors alone being proven to do nothing. he looked like a jackass. Well, Smart Light, how come you didn't say anything to him? You know,
Yeah.
if you didn't like it, right? Like, you may look like a jackass and you got no grief because nobody wants to say anything about it because nobody likes wearing masks. You know. I don't know,
How
I mean,
serious are you about this thing? Aren't you going to call people out and shame them?
I'm just saying. Smart Light says I minded my business.
Okay.
But whose business is it really, Smart Light? Isn't it your business to make sure everyone's safe? Are we all in this together?
True. That's true. It
Saying.
is our responsibility to watch out for one another. You could have at least offered him one of your masks.
That's right. Here you go. It takes off one of the 4 masks.
Your
Oh my
mouth
gosh.
looks cold. You want to wear my mask?
You want to wear one of my masks?
I wonder
Just takes off-
if that's a new thing for teenagers, like where they're like
yeah.
sitting awkwardly on a date, and the guy's like, "Your mouth looks cold. Do you want to wear my mask?" And like gives a little flannel mask, you know. And then
a
she
year
goes,
ago, it would be like, you know, your mouth looks cold. You mind if I warm it up?
yeah,
Right now, it's like, your mouth looks cold. Do you mind if I warm it up?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If a guy leaned in for a kiss, you'd be like, "Gross! Do you know what you're doing right now?"
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny. Hey, the Michael B, thank you so much for the resub of Prime as well, who guessed a rooster, by the way, earlier. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is good. This is great. Okay, so let's get into the real meat and potatoes of tonight's show. Tonight's
Mhm.
presentation.
Yeah.
21 minutes into this bad boy.
Yeah.
Look, so news came out this weekend that an icon of the literary world, an icon of our youth, is racist. And now
Of course.
canceled.
He's out of here.
Get him
Yeah.
out of here.
This story, now I saw it for the first time this weekend. Now let me correct you real quick. There's been a study since 2019. I found a whole paper, a whole lengthy thing about how Dr. Seuss is racist. And I'll admit up front, I didn't read it all. But I came across this on Facebook. This was my introduction. Okay. If you had never heard about Dr. Seuss being racist and you came across this, Dr. Seuss was a racist. Now you know. Use these books instead to help your child grow. There's not much substance there. It's just, this was what I saw. Dr. Seuss was a racist. Now you know.
I would just like to say, like, if you're going to throw out the term racist, you should probably follow up with some sort of.
Dr. Seuss was a racist because,
right,
and then say, now you know, right?
Yes.
But they were trying to be clever here and rhyme. So this was in a group on Facebook that I'm in, and a teacher had shared this, and so they shared a lot of suggestions. Now, if you happen to be on the side that you think Dr. Seuss is racist, then here's some books for you to look for instead of Green Eggs and Ham, to teach little ones repetition and patterns. We've got Bob Marley's book One Love here, Please Baby Please, a whole bunch. They've got so they they have to cross it out to make their point.
Yes.
Cat in the Hat. If you want to reach for the Cat in the Hat to teach little ones rhyming words, reach for these books instead. There's those. I'll leave them up. We actually have the book I Am Enough, and it's a pretty nice book. This is to replace if you want to read the places you'll go, which we have that book too. Now, can I just go on the record and say maybe we could have both books in the house just because, I don't know. Because I don't know. So I pulled up an article. I looked into this whole thing about Dr. Seuss being racist. And one of the outside of that big long paper, I found this article on NPR. Dr. Seuss books can be racist, but students keep reading them. Now, Dr. Seuss has sold 650 million books.
I'd also like to point out that Dr. Seuss has been dead for 30 years. He died in 1991. So, there's that.
Yeah. It took us 650 million book sales to kind of come to this conclusion in the year 2019. So this was from last year or 2 years ago. This week, millions of students and teachers are taking part in Read Across America, a national literacy program celebrated annually around the birthday of Theodore Geisel. better known
just
as,
Dr.
as
Seuss.
yeah, Dr. Seuss. For over 20 years, teachers and students have donned costumes, often the Cat in the Hat's iconic and white striped hat, and devoured books like Green Eggs and Ham. That was actually Green Eggs and Ham and Go Dog Go were indeed some of my favorite books growing up. It says, but some of Seuss's classics have been criticized for the way they portray people of color in the book. And to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, for example, a character described as Chinese has 2 lines for eyes, carries chopsticks and a bowl of rice, and wears traditional Japanese style shoes. So I stopped right there and I thought, what context was that book? What year was that book made? Well, it came out in 1937.
Oh,
okay. So in the span of time, now I'm not saying it was right, but I looked up the picture to see what they're talking about because I have never read that book. But this is the picture they're talking about. It's a Chinese man with rice, and he's got his I don't know what those hats are called. But now I saw it and I thought, well, it kind of looks like, a traditional Chinese man. And so then it got me thinking, what if I did a Google search for like traditional Chinese man, and I wrote hat and rice, and you can actually find a modern version of this on Shutterstock. This is some Shutterstock footage. This is a Chinese man eating rice with the hat on, which is like a literal life, like real life version of the Dr. Seuss character. So I'm asking you now.
Can you go back? I'm sorry, go back to the Dr. Seuss picture. Real quick, just a quick look at my screen real fast. Is I just searched Chinese outfit 1930s, right? And there's this guy right here. Like that's kind of like what he was wearing, Like I'm just saying, time and place, people. Time and place, right? We don't have the internet. We don't know. We didn't, like. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's still going on today. I don't know. Is that a nasty stereotype? I'm not a Chinese person. I don't know if I'm supposed to be offended by that or not. If it is, Shutterstock is racist. That's for sure. So that's my point. I went on to read the next book they used as an example was in the book, If I Ran the Zoo, 2 men said to be from Africa are shown shirtless, shoeless, and wearing grass skirts as they carry an exotic animal. So I looked into that. I think you pulled those images up, Craig. Did you pull those up?
So I actually have these images here. These are the things that people speak about, right? These individual images. And in the book, from the African island of Yurka, which in my Googling, I did not find an African, island of Yurka. I don't even know this exists.
Okay,
right?
So you're telling me Dr. Seuss, he blends reality and fantasy.
Yeah. So I legitimately I just Googled Yurka Island, Africa. I can't find anything. All I can find is just a really broad stroke, just things. It doesn't really have a whole lot. So I went in here and I looked here, and this is what it looks like, featuring it says featuring caricatures of Africans, right? Well, first off, how do we know these are caricatures of Africans when he went to Yurka, which doesn't exist? Is this a caricature of a bird? Like, what are we getting upset about here? I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'll say this: can you zoom in on those guys there?
I cannot.
You can't. Okay,
No.
I don't know if I had that pulled up or not. I did not. Now I'll say this: when I first saw that picture, it definitely, because I've seen a lot of movies from the 1920s, and I've seen when the era of blackface was socially acceptable.
Sure.
When I saw that, I did think like, okay, I could see how some people would think that that's what they think it is, right?
Yeah. CDI says the page does say African. This is true. Right. So
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I could see how some people could be upset about it. Now I could also see. Now there are some boobs on this. I hope I don't get banned for showing African tribe boobs here.
Dr.
But I
Seuss
did.
movies?
No, I just Googled African tribe
Oh,
1950. That's all I
oh,
did was Google that,
okay.
and I found this, right? And I was like,
Okay.
well, like
Right.
I don't know what to tell you, like are we going to get upset over everything that happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago? I like
Well,
to- to-
should the publisher of Dr. Seuss follow in line with Disney now and put a warning at the beginning of their book, or do they take out the books altogether? What are, like, do like Disney went the route of like every episode that has something offensive on it now has a little pre-screened like warning on it, right? A little message like, hey,
offensive to who?
whoever wants to be offended, Craig. So that's my question though. Should the publishers of Dr. Seuss's books now have a page at the front, right? If that's what we're doing, or do we just move along? Here's a few options. Here's a few options. A page at the beginning of the book that says, hey, there might be some racially insensitive things in here, or they stop printing the book altogether, right? I don't know, just a few options off the top of my head, or we just don't do anything and we keep doing it because there's 650 million of them out there already.
So
And even if you stop printing it that way now, then you still have 650 million of them out there.
This is such a metaphor for life right now, right? So Dr. Seuss, this is just a quick Google search of how many Dr. Seuss books there are, brings me to that he wrote at least 39, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and we're talking about two pages, two images in all these books, right?
Mhm.
And so we're just gonna, like, these tiny little things that, okay, I guess you could consider it, like, yeah, there's like, if you're gonna say, well, these are African people and it looks like blackface, okay, I get it, right? I'll throw it at you. But are we gonna like say you can't learn the good lessons from the Dr. Seuss books because of that?
Mhm.
Because of that? Like, are we serious?
Well,
Is this what we're doing?
well, it's not just 2 pages, Craig. It's outside of his books. This article continues. The author's personal legacy has come into question.
Like
Seuss-
this? Where he says what this country needs is a good mental incesticide, and he talks about getting race out of the racial bug out of people's ears, specifically white people.
It doesn't count. Let me finish reading this article and we'll come back to that. Seuss wrote an entire minstrel show in college and performed as the main character in full blackface. So that is what we're going to focus on. It doesn't matter that he made that cartoon.
In like 1920?
Yes, he graduated college in 1925, only a few short years after The Jazz Singer, which is known for its blatant use of blackface with Al Jolson. So, context, time, history, people, does it make Dr. Seuss a full-on racist in all his books having underlying racial tones? What we're doing now is taking everything. It's like if you've ever looked at yourself in the mirror and just stared at yourself, you stop seeing just the overall person that you are, and you start to see pores and freckles and cracks in your skin. And then you can, if you really focus and you want to, if you decide to, you can tell yourself you're ugly and you're terrible and you've got to change. Or you can just decide, you know what? I've got some imperfections. I'm not perfect, but I'm just going to keep going and we'll be okay. Like why are we doing this to ourselves every step of the way now? It's not.
To be clear, we are not doing it to ourselves. Most people are not doing it to themselves. It's a select few who feel like they need to do it to everybody. And that's what's going on here. And I got to be honest, those people are the most racist people of all. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. I have decided that since we've started this.
By the way, can you go back? I'm gonna amend that Facebook. Go back to the Facebook post, please.
Which
just
one?
your initial post, the Facebook post that you initially saw.
This one here?
Yeah. Here we go. You are racist. Now you know. There you go. I just amended that. Congratulations. Congratulations there, guys. You are racist. Now
Yeah.
you know. And now we all know. Congratulations. Way to go.
Yep. It's true. Deal with it. Yeah, I've had look, since we started this show, I've been called more names in my life than ever before in my lifetime. I've been called so many different names. And at this point, look, I didn't realize you had me figured out.
It's amazing how much you can learn about. Listen, this is something that's fascinating to me as well. It's amazing how much you can learn about yourself that you didn't know about yourself your entire life until somebody told you on the internet. It's amazing.
Yeah, complete strangers. It's amazing that, what do we have? 280 characters on Twitter. So many people have figured out that I have so many problems, Craig. I'm a racist. Somebody said I was embarrassing. But look, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I got to work on my problems.
Glad you learned that about yourself. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I thought this was an interesting thing to just pop up. Like, a lot of people won't look past it. These memes that pop up, and a lot of people these days seem to take things at face value. So if you see a meme pop up that says so and so is racist, and now that's as far as it goes with a lot of people. And then they go, "Oh, geez, now I do know." And then that's it for them.
I feel like
gotta do better.
I'm going to take that image and literally just create a Photoshop file for anybody who wants to just add whatever name they want in there, and it'll say, pick anybody you want. Blank blank is racist. Now you know. So then you don't need any proof at all. Like, you don't need to go by what they actually said in the world or what they've actually done, their actions for their entire life. It doesn't matter because they're racist. And now you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the ultimate goal is, because over the last week, I've seen that math is racist, space is racist, Dr. Seuss is racist. For that matter, are the potato heads racist? It just keeps going. And what's the end goal? What are we trying to accomplish with this? Is everybody's, like, I got in a day with somebody, and somebody just kept nagging at me, and they were like, I bet you're going to switch the topic now to avoid conversation or avoid my points. And I just said, no, I'm going to tell you, you're right. You're right. I'm wrong. You're you have a unmatched wisdom. I just gave him the win, because I'm like, there's a small group of people out there that are trying to make everybody else feel bad about themselves. So I'm just going to let them have that.
I think,
there's nothing you can do.
That's, how about this? Let's have a little code, right? Let's have a little code. No, you know what? Screw that. I was going to say, let's have a little code in like when we respond to comments and someone's like really mad at us, we could just go like, you're right. But I don't want to validate that. I don't want to validate people just being smarmy and assholes and jerks with more smarmy asshole jerks. I don't want to do that. Like, I really like asking if they're okay is a great way to go, but I my first thought was like, just to move them on, because that's really all they want. They want to feel validated, but they shouldn't feel validated because they're the worst of all. Like, out of everybody who for everything that they call everybody, every sort of ist that they can say about you, that they think they know about you, they're being that to you. And that's the most fascinating thing about it. So yeah, I don't want to validate that at all.
Yeah. But just so you know, it doesn't matter what you say. There's a new article too. There's a story about Dolly Parton, who is a well-beloved national treasure, generally very, very, very well-liked by a lot of people. Now, I'm not the biggest Dolly Parton fan, but sure, you got her on in the background. I don't know, whatever, right? But this Vox article has come out that people are talking about. Dolly Parton is in the midst of a career revival that has seen her hailed as a kind and secular country pop saint. But there is a dark side to Dolly's ability to appeal to everyone at all times. Now, this to me just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how well liked you are, where you fall on the spectrum of good and evil to anybody, it's never going to be good enough. Like how old is Dolly Parton now? Close to 80?
I guess.
And now, now there's a dark side based on who? Who wrote this?
Vox. So she's
Yeah.
75.
75.
Yes.
Vox, obviously a completely legitimate news outlet.
Yes,
but
take rules. Being non-controversial is controversial. I hate this world.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
we're in this labyrinth of nothingness, and it's all terrible.
Like, if you got to go after Dolly Parton right now,
yeah.
Like, I gotta say, with everything going on in the world, if we got a global pandemic, we got people from every side hating each other, we got a racial revolution happening right now, and you're gonna go after Dolly Parton, and when she's 70, she's a geriatric Dolly Parton.
Well, here's why they do that. Vox goes, we got to get some clicks on our website, and then they throw a dart at the wall, and it lands on somebody. They've got probably a collage of art of famous people on the wall, but it's just a big wall in their office, and they throw a dart. Dolly Parton. It landed on Dolly Parton. Let's they probably sat around and they were like, oh gosh, I don't know what we could write about Dolly Parton. Like, most people really like her. I mean, she's got a pretty clean track record. She doesn't really take a side on political things, and so she's got a pretty long, successful career. And then they were like, "Don't you see?
But it's
time to tear her down. That's her dark side."
That's right.
Yeah.
How echoing, echoing something I've been saying for a little bit. Anything you do now can be scrutinized in future generations. He ate sugar. He drove cars. Didn't he beat his children? Tear his statue down, right? Now, beating his children, obviously, we all know that's bad. Right?
That's pretty bad.
But I think there's a pretty big difference between, driving cars and eating sugar and then beating your children. Didn't beat his children. Sorry.
Oh,
didn't.
My bad.
Yeah. But yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
My bad, Hal.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we have forgiven a lot of celebrities who have been abusive, right?
Yeah.
Like, Chris Brown, right? He's still out there doing what he does, generally, not, I don't think I don't know. I don't listen to Chris Brown, but I'm like, he's obviously on some level been forgiven for being abusive. I don't know what the correct term is, but he's still around. Meanwhile, take Gina Carano, for example, where they're like, you got to get out of here, right? Like, you can't tweet that. I mean, you can be abusive to somebody physically, but you can't tweet that. You can be abusive and still make music. I mean, that's fine, but you can't tweet those things and still be on our show.
Right.
So it's just insane.
Well, like Alec Baldwin, he's like the biggest piece of crap there is. Like, Alec Baldwin's a horrible person, just based off his actions, that I've heard about. I don't know the guy, but just based off of that. But he's likable and he's funny, and it's okay, whatever. So it's good.
Well, they're all actors, A lot of the times I said this a few shows ago, but we were talking about Rush Limbaugh, and I was like, radio hosts have an on-air personality, the same way actors get into character, and they're not just in character in their movies, they're in character at their press junket too, and when they're doing interviews.
Sure.
They have to portray themselves as likable all the time, but that doesn't mean that's who they actually are behind the scenes. So when we get these like secret recordings of Alec Baldwin chewing out his daughter, saying terribly mean things. Now, I don't know their family situation, but it doesn't seem to me like, to me, that's pretty revealing about who he actually is behind all of the different masks that he wears throughout the day. So
Well, as the tick rule says in Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey told Courtney Cox she could stay with him for the night and sleep with her. That is hashtag Me Too land. Right, right. And don't forget the entire premise of the movie is built around a trans
transsexual,
woman. Like
Mhm.
that's the idea. The entire thing. And what happens at the end? Like they all throw up and it's hilarious.
Mhm.
Like, so Jim Carrey get canceled? Should Courtney Cox get canceled? Should Tone Loc get canceled?
Mhm.
Because they're in the 1992 classic Ace Ventura.
Now speaking of that and circling back to Dr. Seuss, there's a brand new Dr. Seuss show on Netflix based on Go Dog Go.
And it's outstanding, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not
great.
racist?
No. Not
Oh.
that I know of. They're dogs.
Well, Netflix should have really seriously thought about it and read some of these articles and papers, you think. Also, Mike Myers portraying Cat in the Hat in the movie a few years back. There's been quite a few. The Lorax was a movie. And look, the reason why I bring all this stuff up is because I always like to push it. It's like, how far are we gonna do this, people? Can we just stop? And can we find the people that are writing these articles and pull them out of their job?
Who wrote the article? Real quick.
About what?
About Dr. Seuss?
Tierra Jenkins and there's two names, Tierra Jenkins and Jessica Yarmoisky. But there has somebody invested a lot of time into a paper. Ramon Stevens wrote research on diversity in youth literature. The cat is out of the bag. Orientalism, anti-blackness, and white supremacy in Dr. Seuss's children's book. This is a outstandingly, pull up my screen real quick. Look how long this study is. This is the top of the page. This goes for miles analyzing. This was a study. Now I'm just
based on what?
This is all about the cat is out of the bag. This is Dr. Seuss's Orientalism, anti-blackness, and white supremacy in Dr. Seuss's children's books. Wow. So this is a whole study based on what we're talking about here.
What school is this from?
Oh,
scroll up to the top.
It's at the top. This is University of California, San Diego.
Okay.
And then Katie Ishizuki, the Conscious Kid Library. And then look, they invested a lot of time. What's their professional background? I don't know, but they've got their sources listed. They've done the study.
Here's one T Nick says, yes, let's name people. Nothing could go wrong there. So like, just to be clear, we're anti-cancel culture, but we want to name people loudly.
Well, I'm just bringing it up because no, we don't want to cancel these people. I'm just fascinated by their mind.
I did all I wanted to do was because the point of this is one T Mike Nick. Number one, I appreciate it for calling out the hypocrisy, and you're right. Mm-hmm. But what I wanted to do was just in our conversation was simply do a quick Google search of them. And I honestly feel that if you were to take 5 minutes of research, you could find something that somebody said regrettably on their Twitter, on their Facebook. If you were just to scroll down their list, at some time somebody has said something stupid that they regret. And you take 5 minutes and you could find that about probably anybody, right? Yeah. Nobody is perfect. That's the point of the conversation, is that nobody's perfect. Yeah. People do stupid things. They say stupid things. And if you're perfect, man, I'll tell you what, you're not in the right place. You're not in the right place.
It's impossible to not be hypocritical in this circle of emotion here that we get ourselves in. That, like, you're welcome to point out the hypocrisy. I'm not saying cancel them anyway.
Nobody's doing that either. Yeah.
Health Warrior 15 says you're not saying cancel them, but bring them on for a conversation.
That
would be awesome if they wanted to come on the show and have a conversation about it. Because that's generally what I'm saying. Like, who is behind all of this? There's somebody creating conversation for the rest of us. Somebody makes the decision at Oreo's branding to say, yes, tweet that. That was like probably a decision between like 4 or 5 people to put that tweet out. Who were those people? Bring them up front so the rest of us don't have to have the conversation out loud. I've been having this thought the last week. I am tired of the left and right arguing with this massive void, social media void in between us. You watch CNN, they make their point. If you watch CNN, that's all you're going to get. If you watch Fox, you're going to get their point and their side. But in between, we all argue about it in here in the social media void. But what we need to do is pull these people in that are creating this culture, this anger in our culture, and these angry conversations, in these disagreements, and pull them in together. Let's start having more national debate with our professionals and our media personnel, so we can make a better informed decision, rather than, you watch CNN, so you're getting this view. You're watching Fox News, so you get this view, and then we're all just arguing about it. Like I said, let's get real. Let's have Chris Cuomo have a conversation with Tucker Carlson, guys like that.
Right.
I want to see that stuff.
Someone pointed out real quick. Let's see. I want to proof this before I put this up real quick, Brad. Keep going.
1T Nick says, don't just take down, defend it. Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously we're getting in these arguments where everybody feels like, well, my side is right, your side is definitely wrong. Well, why is that? Can we get more information about why you're right? Have we been lied to? Is that possible? Is one side being lied to and one side isn't being lied to about certain things? There's a good chance, and I'm just speculating here, I'm no scientist. There's a good chance we've all been lied to about different things.
Right.
But there's no one side or the other. I had made a comment today with to our guest, Dr. Carlin, that we had on a few shows ago. I follow her on Twitter. I made a comment, and it was a comment that some people didn't agree with, and they attacked me like vultures. And I was just sort of like, I had fun with it for a little bit, talking with these people, because I like to see what's going on in their brain. And I really don't take it very seriously at all. But they don't see that, because they don't know me. But they feel welcome enough to judge and call names based on nothing. And so,
I have this pulled up over here, and I'm not actually going to pull it up on stream, because talking about Dr. Seuss, right? So there's a comic book. I'll let anybody Google this if they want to Google it. It's just Google Dr. Seuss slave if you want to find this. And there's a comic strip where it's this guy selling different things, and then it ends up he's selling black people, right, as slaves at the end of it. And doing a little research on this, I'll pull up the research on this now. And this does not look good, right? As it says, 1929 Dr. Seuss cartoon with images of black men for sale and featuring a racial slur is on offer from the Los Angeles auction house. The auction, this was a few years ago, billing it as a very early work with shockingly racist comments. Seuss had published his first drawing 2 years earlier in 1927. The drawing, an offer from Sanders, made by Dr. Seuss when he was 25 years old. It was from the Satirical Judge magazine. So it's kind of, I'm guessing, like a Mad magazine back at the time. So it does not, like, I'll tell you straight up right now, it is not appropriate, right? And that's one of those things where it's like, like, I'm not going to defend that at all. But what I will say is, like, he was 25. It was 1929 at the time, when the world was such a different place, right? People grow and they change. Like, Dr. Seuss was like anti-war, anti-racism, he wanted good things in the world, So,
well, yeah, I've mentioned this before on the show, but I grew up watching a lot of silent movies, and back in the silent days, even going on into early talkie films, it was common practice for actors and extras to if they needed somebody, if they needed a black character, they would do a black face. And I've watched interviews with a lot of those guys where once their career was sort of, they had their high points in the 1910s and 20s. By the 1950s and 60s, they talk about that and how embarrassing it was, and they regret doing those things. And what was culturally acceptable was no longer a few years later, and culture learned together,
Right.
People learn that.
So here you go. One T Nick says, I'm skeptical of you, Brad. You express a lot of confidence in your views. That makes me concerned about you. You say question everything, but believe you? I don't think that's what you said.
No, you don't have to believe me. I'm just talking. Of course, I'm going to be. You should be confident in what you're saying, but you don't. I don't have to. I don't expect you to change based on me. If you disagree with me, okay, be confident in what you believe in. But just because I'm here talking, I'm on a platform with my brother doing a podcast, it doesn't make my opinion more valid. I'm just talking about what I think as I'm thinking it, That's
We've
what I like.
never claimed to be experts at
No,
anything.
I'm not, I'm not an expert at anything at all, ever. I suck.
Follows up, says, so we should focus on the viewpoint of people that disagree with Dr. Seuss. Isn't the tagline of this Dr. Seuss is canceled problematic? Problematic is the dumbest. I'm just going to say that. Problematic is the dumbest fucking word I've ever heard in my life, right? No, there's nothing wrong with the title of this, because yes, people have attempted to cancel Dr. Seuss, who has been dead for 30 years. So yeah, I find that more problematic than anything, So yeah.
Yeah, look, the choice is yours. We brought this story up. If you've never heard it, maybe you want to look into it a little bit more. Read that big long paper I made. Maybe you'll come to your own conclusion that you have decided that, maybe you want to take a look at those other books outside of Dr. Seuss that were popped up earlier. I've given you that information. You can go back and watch it.
You may have heard the story, but do you know the story? There's a difference between hearing the story and knowing the story. One T Nick, for sure, for sure. Like all we're doing is bringing things up. We let you guys make your decisions. That's it.
But we gotta pick we gotta. You know what we should do? We should have a pick a side wheel where it's just a big wheel and it says, I don't know, whatever the side is that we have to pick on, it just alternates around the wheel, and we'll just spin it at the end of the show if it makes you happy. And whatever it lands on, that's our position.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll just
that'll be our racist.
Yes.
He's racist. Okay.
Clearly.
Clearly he's racist.
I love it. Yes. Well, there you go. Like, at the end of the day, look, all we know is what we know, and we don't know much, right? We're just here talking about things. And if you enjoy the conversation and you want to have that conversation, you can have it, right? And if you find our conversation problematic, that seems more like a you problem than a me problem. And that's really it. If you have issues with it, that's fine. But we're just here to talk about things. And, that's pretty much where it starts and stops.
Yeah.
So,
look, I think one thing I like about this show is, like, Craig, you're an expert essentially in video games. Okay. You're an expert in video games. You got a lot of experience broadcasting.
Sure.
You've got a lot of experience with that. I'm an expert in music and art, in creating things. That's where my expertise is. What I like about this show is that we don't really talk about either. It's a chance for us to both just have a conversation about things we're not experts in.
That's right.
And, if my delivery seems just too confident, it's just because that I'm thinking out loud and I'm talking. And if something comes up that, maybe a comment will be made once we go live on YouTube, or maybe there'll be a Twitch comment and I'll read it. There will be a point, I guarantee you, if the show goes long enough, I might, just maybe, might be open-minded enough to say, I've never thought about it that way. That's interesting.
I like the idea that the way you speak can be too confident.
Yeah.
Like, what? I'm offended by your confidence. It's too.
I may need
You're
to
too
take
confident.
I may need to take the Coke training, because that was one of the points in being less white of the Coke training, was have less confidence. I do remember that. I feel
Yes.
like I've taken the training, but I guess I failed. I don't know.
So here we go. Last one from 1T Nick says, I did my own research and I disagree. I said after my research that I found your views problematic, and you called that my problem. Just providing a summary here. Do you agree? What I agree is that it's okay to disagree. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's lacking in the world right now, Nick. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks so much for contributing to the conversation. But it's okay to disagree in today's world. And like, that's the beautiful thing about conversation, is that we're not here to try to persuade you to think another way. We're just here to talk about it. And I hope to God, when you have conversations, you don't feel the need to try to persuade anybody else how you feel, because that's not a conversation. That's a debate. And that's not what this show's about.
Maybe one day we'll have
Yes.
a debate.
Yeah. There it is.
There it
Yeah.
is.
There you go. Yeah. So once again, I think we've had a interesting show tonight. It's been really good. I look forward to continuing this on tomorrow when we're live on YouTube for the first time ever.
That's going to be exciting. Sharks versus Jets. I'm excited.
That's right.
West Side Story action going on in the chat. I think we're going to see. It's going to be a rumble. It's going to be a rumble.
Before we finish up, I want to know what everybody else is an expert of. So let us know right now as we listen to the algorithm.
I'm Al Gore, the voice of your generation. Young people today, let me ask you this. How can we party? The earth is so big. Can we party? I'm Al Gore, the voice of your generation. Party.
There you go. Get it in. I would love to see in the YouTube comments exactly what you're an expert in. And we all know everybody's an expert at everything except for us, which is great. So, Brad, you got anything else?
Party.
Sounds great. We'll see you guys later on. Have a great night. Come join me over at twitch.tv/CraigSkits if you're watching the premiere over on youtube.com/CraigSkits right now. And we're going to be, man, Brad, I got to tell you, I'm playing, you don't even know what this is, but I'm playing Dark Souls starting on Wednesday.
Playing Dark Souls?
It's going to be really exciting. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.